At Pratrajagri, there is no mercy. Air freezes inside your lungs. Eyelashes turn into crystals. Each breath sounds like metal shattering. In that place, everything is trying to kill you. The wind, the water, even the ground beneath your feet. And yet, in the middle of that death zone, humans discovered a paradox to survive. They had to hide inside the very thing that was killing them: snow. The Inuit call it an igloo, a house made of ice, a white stone box standing alone in a frozen wilderness. From a distance, it looks like a frozen tomb, but inside, temperatures can rise to 0 degrees Celsius, dozens of degrees warmer than the Arctic air outside. This contradiction is not just an instinctive trick for survival. It is a quiet lesson in thermodynamics, where ice stops being an enemy and becomes armor shielding life from the cold of the universe itself. If you take a handful of snow and squeeze it tightly, you will hear a faint crackling sound. That is not ice breaking, it is air being forced out of a crystalline structure. Snow is not crushed ice. It is a natural honeycomb material, where 90–95% of its volume is actually air. Under a microscope, each snowflake looks like a six-armed maze, where H2O molecules arrange themselves in a hexagonal crystal lattice. When snow falls and piles up, the gaps between particles are never fully filled. Instead, billions of tiny air pockets become trapped inside a frozen network, and those air pockets are the reason snow can keep you warm. Air is a natural insulator because its molecules are too far apart to transfer energy efficiently. In physics, heat travels through three mechanisms: conduction, convection, and radiation. Snow disrupts all three at once. Conduction is reduced because molecules are not close enough to pass vibrations. Convection is blocked because the air is trapped in closed spaces. Radiation is scattered and reflected by the ice crystals. A block of snow, despite feeling cold, is actually a thermal sponge. The thicker and more porous it is, the better it insulates. In the world of entropy, emptiness is not weakness. It is how matter resists the loss of energy. The human body is a biological reactor. Even at rest, it produces about 100 watts of heat, roughly the output of a light bulb. In open air, that heat is stripped away instantly by wind and infrared radiation. Inside an igloo, it is captured, reused, and slowly recycled. An igloo does not generate heat, it stores entropy, like a massive thermos. It slows the flow of energy from the human body to the environment, turning thermal imbalance into an advantage. Heat rises from the skin, is partially absorbed by the snow walls, then reflected back inward. The result is a stable interior temperature hovering around 0 degrees Celsius, cold enough to keep the structure intact, yet dramatically warmer than the Arctic winds outside. Experiments at the University of Alaska have shown that with just 2 people inside a standard igloo, the internal temperature can rise from 40 degrees Celsius to 7 degrees Celsius within 30 minutes, and reach nearly 0 degrees Celsius after 90 minutes. No firewood, no electricity, just the heat of life itself. At its core, an igloo is a closed thermal ecosystem. Survival does not come from fighting the environment, but from cooperating with it. Human breath turns ice into armor. Entropy, something the universe wants to disperse, becomes a protective wall around life. Cold air is denser than warm air. At Pratrajagri, 1 cubic meter of cold air can be about 1.4 kilograms heavier than warm air, heavy enough to sink like water. The Inuit understood this not through equations, but through lived experience. Look at the cross-section of an igloo. The entrance is always lower than the sleeping platform. When you crawl inside, you descend into a cold trap. This lower tunnel acts as a cold sink, where dense cold air collects. Above it, on the raised sleeping area, warmer air naturally floats and stays. This phenomenon is called thermal stratification. Just as oceans have cold layers at the bottom, an igloo creates its own sea of air, warm above, cold below. And thanks to its smooth dome shape, Warm air circulates gently along the ceiling instead of becoming turbulent, maintaining stability. Centuries before convection theory existed, the Inuit instinctively applied the principles, later formalized by Bernoulli and Archimedes. An igloo is not merely a shelter, it is humanity's first living thermodynamics laboratory. After your first night inside, you may notice the inner walls becoming glossy. This is not from light, it is ice reorganizing itself. Body heat and moisture from breath slightly melt the inner snow layer, forming a thin film of water. When temperatures drop or you leave, that film refreezes, turning porous snow into a hard, transparent ice shell. This is a dual phase change cycle, melting and recrystallization repeated hundreds of times each night, like the breathing rhythm of matter itself. With every cycle, air gaps seal tighter, and ice crystals bond more strongly through hydrogen bonds, the weak connections between hydrogen and oxygen atoms that nonetheless form the backbone of life and material structure. Over time, the igloo perfects itself. The longer it is lived in, the more airtight and structurally solid it becomes. In physics, this is called self-organization. When a material system uses energy, in this case, human body heat, to evolve toward a more stable state, a structure made of water that grows stronger through human presence. This is the purest definition of thermodynamic symbiosis. The igloo stands as proof that survival comes not from resisting nature, but from understanding its logic. In a place where life seems impossible, the Inuit transformed enemies snow and ice into allies. If ice is frozen energy, then an igloo is humanity's way of directing entropy. They do not fight the cold, they rearrange its flow. Just as a ship cannot sail against the ocean current, but can ride the waves by understanding wind and water, the igloo represents adaptive intelligence beyond instinct, a quiet mastery of nature's laws.